Hey everyone! The study of non-Western design history requires far more explanation and discussion than what your textbook covers or the semester allows time for. Developments in separate geographical locations such as Africa, Asia, pre-Columbian America, and indigenous societies in other locations such as Australia and New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, and the Arctic have a long and rich history of unique design traditions. Here we're going to take a look at Islamic design, which is defined by religious concerns, and we see its impact in many geographic locations, such as Spain and Portugal, India, Asia, and the Near East, which includes Syria, Persia, now Iran, Egypt, and most of coastal North Africa. Islamic religious belief begins with the Prophet Muhammad and his trip from Mecca to Medina in 622 CE. Over the next several hundred years, the Islamic faith spreads and rapidly dominates. A marked characteristic of Islamic design is the avoidance of any depiction of human, animal, or plant forms as elements of design or decoration, as required by the teachings of the Quran, the Islamic religious text. This created purely geometric forms of design and calligraphy, using text from the Quran or other religious works. The key structure in any Islamic community is the mosque. Unlike the temples and churches of other religions, the mosque is not a house of God, but rather a prayer hall where the faithful assemble to pray, facing toward Mecca, and to hear readings from the Quran. Although mosques vary greatly in design and size, they share certain characteristics. Typically, a mosque's plan is designed as a rectangle enclosed by a perimeter of columns forming long aisles, a square, open courtyard with a pool or fountain for the washing called for by Muslim practice before entering the mosque itself, a tower, or sometimes several towers, called a minaret, which is used as a high point to call worshipers to prayer several times a day. Usual elements of an interior prayer hall space are a mihrab, which is a niche used to mark the direction to face toward Mecca. You see this here on the top left. And the mimbar, a pulpit for preaching and Quran readings. You see this here on the right. Secular buildings in the Islamic design style include palaces, baths, and markets. Here you're looking at the ceremonial pavilion of Jahil Saloon, which is known as the Palace of 40 Columns. There are actually only 20 columns made of cypress wood, but the other 20 are the reflections in the long pool in front of the pavilion. On the interior, we see familiar Islamic design elements with geometric patterns and inset niche. In many places where the Muslim religion becomes popular, Islamic design was applied to existing churches, such as Sancta Sophia, which you already studied as a Byzantine church during the Dark Ages. Now, let's look at it again while studying Islamic design. With the fall of Constantinople to the Turks in 1453, Justinian's church became a mosque and was renamed Hagia Sophia. A quartet of 4 minarets, which are the tall, thin towers, are added around it. On the interior, the original Byzantine mosaics and other representational imagery were covered with plaster and painted decoration in Islamic style with calligraphic inscriptions. Once the Ottoman Empire was established, new mosques were built with designs based on the pre-existing Byzantine work. The spread of Islamic religion across northern Africa and military invasion of the Mediterranean, Italy, France, and Spain brought Islamic influence to Central Europe as well. Here we see what is referred to as Moorish design or Islamic design in southern Spain at the Great Mosque in Cordoba. The large prayer hall uses long rows of columns to support horseshoe-shaped arches. The arches are striped with red brick and white stone. In Islamic design, this horseshoe shape for arches is typical and often called a Moorish arch, where the curve of the arch extends beyond the semicircle. Again, at the Great Mosque or Mezquita in Cordoba, we see the horseshoe arch also used for the mihrab, the niche that marks the direction to face toward Mecca for prayer. At the Alhambra Palace in Granada, Spain, we see the Islamic influence of geometric patterns in the carved stonework and plaster, an extensive use of decorative tile, and arcades surrounding open courtyards, and many fountains and pools that reflect the richly carved surfaces and Moorish arches. Very little furniture was used in Islamic interiors except low benches or couches covered with textiles, carpets, and rugs. The development of weaving techniques in the Near East made rugs of great beauty that are still highly valued, collected, and imitated today. Often, rugs are used to kneel to worship at daily prayers. Thanks for following along. See you next time.